Hello, everyone. All right, when I last left you, I was setting up these warehouses in San Francisco. I can see San Francisco is now growing. Um, oh, I think they're doing pretty good. They're up to 40,500 people now. I need to get them up to the largest city. I still think Washington, D.C. is larger, so I need to keep growing San Francisco, which means I'm going to keep bringing in items for it until it gets big enough. And I think we've got some stakes coming in from Tucson. We've got one right there. I'm going to duplicate that train and send another train. That's not the one. Alright, is that the one? Yep, that's the one. Okay. So we'll send a couple of stakes over to um, San Francisco. I think otherwise San Fran is getting some stuff in. They got steaks coming. They got sugar. Wood is being brought in. Corn, wheat, all that good stuff. So San Francisco. What do I want to build in San Francisco? Let's see. It's got... if I build an industry, I could do a weaving factory. Oh, there is cotton right up there, so maybe I will do that. I will put in a. Wish I could put it on this side, but I can't. Let's put it. Let's put it way down here. And now I'm gonna let's put a little station up here to bring in cotton. Let's see, I can't really bring it in there. They need fabric, but I gotta bring in cotton to make fabric. I think we'll just take it right out of the back of the station. Ugh, I hate going over this bay like that, but I'm gonna have to fix that later. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's go in there. We'll just take it straight down. Oops, that's probably too far straight down. Ay, ay, ay. 143, okay, I'm just gonna accept that. Alright, so we've got our station built. We can bring in, let's construct our maintenance building and let's get some trains going. I don't want an express train, so we'll get a freight train from there to San Fran and give it full cars. Let's give it maybe 3 trains. So I got 3 trains that'll load up and just keep bringing in cotton. Now eventually as they grow, they're going to use more and more cloth, which will be important. Now this warehouse, as you can see, I've already got it set up to bring in cotton as well. And let's see. So eventually, I will hook this warehouse up to San Francisco so that it can start bringing in cotton, or I'm sorry, not cotton, but cloth into the warehouse, and then we can distribute that cloth around the area. Probably, 2 or 3 cities around San Francisco, Los Angeles, probably Tucson and maybe El Paso. But beyond that, I'll have to set up different warehouses for the rest of them. All right, so let's see, what else can we get in San Francisco? They're doing pretty well. Cotton, sugar, cloth, milk, beer, meat, corn, wood, wheat, vegetables. So It is probably time to start bringing in vegetables. We do have some vegetables down in warehouse 2. I could go ahead and start running up vegetables up to San Francisco. That'll help them grow even faster, and then they could bring cloth back. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Actually, I'm not going to do that just yet because I don't have a track running from this warehouse. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a track over, hook up to the main track, set up our signaling, and now I can run a freight train between Warehouse 2 and San Francisco. Now in Warehouse 2, we are going to tell it, I don't want to bring in wheat because it already has wheat, but I will let it bring in whatever else it wants to bring in. I'm also actually not going to bring in cloth from Warehouse 2 because San Francisco is producing cloth. Now in San Francisco, I want it to prioritize cloth bringing back to the warehouse. Now, of course, from San Francisco, that's all that it could bring because that warehouse doesn't take beer or passengers or mail, so it's not going to bring anything else back anyway. So we'll prioritize the cloth in San Francisco. Warehouse 2 will just forbid cloth and wheat from coming back, which would be fine. It's not going to bring that back anyway. So, okay, I think we're good there. So that way, as you can see, it's loading up with vegetables. And let's see, so San Fran's, they don't really have a lot of cloth at the moment. They've only got one extra cloth. I'm going to go ahead and expand this industry since I have the money. That way they can just start mass producing cloth. And hopefully this farm, it's only producing 1.6 per week, holds up to 14. Eventually, though, it will expand and it will start dumping in more cotton into San Francisco. So let's see, I still haven't reached San Francisco's the largest population. What's it got in there? So San Fran's, she's got 50,000 now, so she's got to be getting close. I don't know what other city. It's got to be D.C., I think. Oop. Let's fly way across the city, or country. Let's see. Washington is at 50,800. I've been avoiding growing any of these cities because that's 13,000 in Charlotte. Atlanta doesn't look very big. Nashville is at 42. Okay, I think we just accomplished it. Yep, so San Francisco is now the largest, the city with the largest population, so I'm done with that task. Now I need to focus on getting, let's get back to LA. So now I want to focus on the next task at hand, which is reaching a simultaneous availability of 15 commodities in Chicago and Los Angeles. I'm going to work on Los Angeles first because I've already got the warehouses set up for, between warehouse 1 and 2, so I can start running those trains back and forth. So what I'm going to do here is just trying to think of how I want to do it. I could run a line. Let's see if this works. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's run a line over that. Let's see if we can pump it up a little bit. It's a little quirky, but let's see if I remove that piece. Ugh. Builds a tunnel. I'm not crazy about tunnels, but I'm gonna accept it. I have the money, so I'll just do it. Alright, so now I'm gonna build my second line over. Oh, come on. And what I'm doing here is I want to build this so that I can run a freight train between Warehouse 1 and LA. That way it can start bringing any materials that it has out of Warehouse 1, such as sugar and meat and wood and corn. All right. So we're going to do Warehouse 1 to San Francisco, or to Los Angeles. And we are going to say only full trains. Now in Los Angeles, of course, we're going to prioritize beer. There's not really anything else coming there. Actually, I'm not going to prioritize anything. It'll automatically bring beer back as it's available. So we are going to do that. All right, so as you can see, it's taking a half a train of wood and corn. So it's loading up on both of those. I'm actually going to send in a second train. Let's see how this warehouse is doing. It needs fruit. It actually still needs wheat. Wheat is coming in, but there's not much wheat coming in. Actually, looks like there's only one. I'm going to clone that to start bringing in a second train of wheat. It does have plenty of corn, so that's good, but I do need more wood. So let's go back to my wood. How much wood are we bringing, you guys? We've got several woods. I mean, they're really pumping it out. I'm gonna actually go ahead and increase it and make it 6 trains. So now I've got 6 trains coming from here over to San Francisco. Maybe that will pump it up. Get some of that wood going. Now, yeah, so the vegetables, it's only producing, 0.8 per week. It's only holding 9, so it doesn't really have a big capacity. I just need to wait for that to expand. Once that expands, it'll be a lot better. All right, so since Tucson is really feeding Tucson, LA, and San Francisco with steaks, I'm going to go ahead and put in a warehouse just for Tucson to bring in steers. I don't think it'll let me do that. So I'm going to put it right here. It's going to bring in steers into Tucson, so that way there's always a steady supply of steaks. And as you know, there's always a need for steaks. So we're going to just hook this up. I'm going to put it in the middle in case I want to. I'm just going to run like a double line. It's a pretty short track actually, so I'm only going to really get a couple of trains going back and forth, but it'll give it plenty of. Let's build our construction building and then add. There's our freight train. Go from there up to this warehouse. Now, you'll probably notice I forgot to set steers, so it's not going to start it right away, but as soon as I get it, it'll do it. Now, let's see. I've got 1, 2. So I can actually do a total of 3 trains back and forth between there. So I'm going to go ahead and put steers in. So we've got that going. All right, Los Angeles, you need steak, you're going to need sugar and fabric and all those good things. Those good things will come because let's see if we can start running some fruit into that warehouse. So I don't think there's any fruit up here. There's some vegetable, cottonwood, wheat up north. I could go that direction, but I think for the fruit, I'm going to have to come all the way down here to Odessa and run fruit into that warehouse. So that's what we'll do. Let's put a small station there. I mean, I suppose I could run. Nah, I'll run the one the one line in. I'm gonna run it into this one though. It'll share the main track. But then it'll jump off and use the it'll use the Alright, so we got our and this is going to go all the way up here. So that way it's going to feed San Francisco and Los Angeles with fruit. And you can see it's quite a long ways. It's 192 days. We're going to put that full. But I'm going to put 2, 3, 4 trains on it. Let's hope I don't get them all backed up. I might get them backed up. Let's see. So we got 1 stop, 2 stops, 3 stops. Yep, so we can hold 4 trains on that little line right there. So assuming that they're all sitting here waiting, we could have 3 trains waiting, 1 at each of the stops, and then 1 that's loading at all times. So that way they're constantly being loaded. Now when you do that, the good thing is the farm will expand, because it's like, oh, you guys are buying my fruit as fast as I can make it, or grow it, I don't know. So they will expand rapidly. So I usually like to do that, and that will ramp up production pretty quickly. And once it ramps up, it'll be a lot easier to fill up that warehouse. Okay. So now, of course, the problem is we can't really grow. We can't add any commodities to Los Angeles because it actually has to grow big enough in order to do it. And as you can see, it has all of the commodities that it wants at this moment. So it actually does have plenty of commodities, and as you can see, it is growing. It just takes time for it to grow. So it'll take some time. As you can see, it's already noted to me that it's growing. Let's take a look at the warehouse. Now, I might do something. It's not really tricky here, but sometimes sometimes it's necessary. That's probably not the best, but you know, sometimes I'll actually add another station onto that dairy, and then I'll feed it back into the warehouse, into itself, and it will actually start storing it up. Because as you can see now, it only has the 12 that's available from the farm, but it doesn't have any others stored, and it won't automatically store it unless I run it into itself. So I would actually create another station and then just run that right into the warehouse, and by doing so it'll actually load it up. And to be honest, that's what I'm going to do. It's a weird thing to do, but the only problem is right now I'm just trying to figure out like which direction I want to which way I want to do it. I kind of it's going to be weird because I'm going to have to go under or over that track and like loop around to get back into itself, which I don't really want to do. That's kind of an odd thing, but I might do it this way. Well, we can only test it out and see. If anything, I can always destroy it. That's the beauty. You can destroy what doesn't work. Now let's see, can we build this up maybe? If I built it into a... I mean, that's pretty high. Oh. That seems weird, but... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, guys. Let's do it this way then. If it doesn't like that. Maybe we will go underground if I can get it to work. Do I want to do that? That seems weird, but let's see if it'll work. You never know. Might be fun. Little underground train action there. Sometimes I like to ride the trains. Oh, there we go. Oh. Alright. Now I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. It seems like I'm doing a lot of extra work, but what happens is it actually just allows me to ramp up my resources. So we're going to go just wood braiding right into the warehouse. Even though the warehouse is connected to the milk, it won't store extra milk. This way, I basically take it from the farm another route, and I just load up the warehouse with milk so that it's totally full. And we're going to put like 3 trains on it so that they're just constantly filling themselves up, running over there to the... and it's a nice short little distance, goes right under there, comes out there. You could even like, you could even like get on there and take it for a ride. Let's see, I always forget how to ride it. There we go. We got this 3rd train here. It's being loaded because I sucked all the milk out of it, which is good because it'll also ramp up production of milk. And as you can see here, it actually is now starting to store the milk in the warehouse. This will allow me to build up that milk much greater than I would have before. Now, the one thing I didn't do, over here with the wheat, I actually didn't do that with the wheat here either. And as you can see, it has, it had 33 available up out of the 99, but it doesn't have any extra that's stored. It's only the amount that's coming from the farm. I could do the same thing here and like load up the warehouse with wheat. I'm not going to because this farm of wheat will actually expand on its own, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Okay, so let's get back. I'm losing track, and it's gonna cost me time. Los Angeles is still pretty full. There's not a whole lot that it needs. It just needs time. As you can see, the fulfillment of demand is 99%, so it's doing just fine. All right, while that's going, I'm going to set up some additional warehouses. Now, Tucson, let's see. Now that train that's taking the... So we have these 2 that are going from Tucson up to the warehouse 1, and they're taking meat up there. They're also bringing, as you can see, they're bringing sugar and some beer back, and that's going to help Tucson to grow. Now, as you can see, Tucson also needs wood, sugar, wheat. So that's good that it's bringing those in, but it's not enough. What I might end up doing is I'm going to clone that and make a 3rd train going from Tucson up to the warehouse. Now, one thing I am going to start doing now that I've got a lot of extra money, I'm going to expand my stations. I like to have all my stations up to 4 tracks, so I'm going to go ahead and expand at least these few, because I'm starting to add in a lot of extra trains, so I'm going to add in, so I'm going to expand them. And as you can see here, We've got plenty of, well, we actually don't. They're producing steaks as fast as we can bring in the cows, so we don't have any extra cows at the moment. Let's see how much, they're only producing 19 steers, or holding on to 19 steers, so we're basically emptying that out as fast as they can produce them. But again, they will expand pretty rapidly, and as soon as they do, this warehouse will fill up with steers, making plenty of steaks for Tucson, and then they'll start taking those steaks and loading up the warehouse. Although, again, steaks are one of those things that get eaten quite a bit, so it's going to take some time to get that up. Let's check in on still 99%. They're just going to continually to grow like that until it reaches, you know, a good healthy point. All right. So at this point, I think I'm going to pause, or I'm going to stop here. And for the next video, I'll probably continue building some warehouses. Keep working on Los Angeles, make sure it's got what it needs. But right now, it's in a good spot. It's getting plenty of stuff. Its demand is pretty well met. As you can see, we're at 99%. It'll continue to grow, and as it grows, you know, it'll need sugar, and it'll need milk, and it'll need fabric, and all those things. But all those things, I've already got it set up so that they'll be available, so that Los Angeles will just keep growing and growing and growing, and eventually they're going to meet their 15 demand. Now Chicago also needs this, so I'm gonna go over to Chicago, and I'm actually going to do the same thing. Now what I'm going to do, yep, I already know all those things. What I'm going to do first, I'm actually going to run a line. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to go from Washington to Pittsburgh. And then, oh, that's right. Yep, I forgot. So I've got to hook up these lines. Sometimes I just put it through like that and worry about it later. And of course, there's an Indian population here. We got to get around that. So that's good to go. Alright, so we've got a station in Pittsburgh now. Let's put a passenger line, because that's what I like to put between all the cities. So Pittsburgh to Washington. And then another one from Washington to Pittsburgh. So we've got those two going. Let's go back up to Toledo, put in our train station. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to get up to Chicago. Put it right there. It's nice and flat here, so it doesn't what am I thinking of? It doesn't cost very much to build lines in between them. And now that it's in building mode, the time stops, so I can talk to you a little bit more. So what I do for Chicago is I essentially do it the same way as I did LA. And what I'll do is I'll build a line here: Washington, Pittsburgh, Toledo, and then Chicago. I won't go further than that. That'll be enough. And then I will start building up warehouses around Chicago and start bringing in all the resources around this area, bring them into Chicago so that it has plenty of resources, and it will start growing. It'll start becoming a hub here in the Midwest. And then at the same time, I will be able to run some of those warehouse goods to Toledo and to Pittsburgh, and that will help grow those three cities. So, one of my tasks is I need to have, as you can see here, one of the tasks is that you need, 15 cities with a population of 100,000. Here, we're going to go back into building mode so it stops the clock. All right, I just got cut off, but I restarted it. So that's going to help me build up Pittsburgh and Toledo as well as Chicago, and I'll have all three of those at the 100,000 mark, as well as Washington. So this way, I can start working on the two tasks at once. So let's see. Right now, though, I don't have enough money to build my station. I need 198,000. I've only got 133. Let's see if I can take out a loan. It's been a while since I took a loan out, so let's get a loan. 1.3 million. That should be plenty. Yeah, totally plenty. So let's put in our station. Since you know, since it's since I do have plenty of money, I'm going to go ahead and put in a big station now. I'm going to bring it out a little bit because I am going to put a warehouse on each side of it. Actually, I think right in the middle should be fine. I don't have an issue. I shouldn't have any problems. So I'll put in my routes. So I always build the routes, and I always like to build two lines. Then I immediately put in my signals, make sure that all the stations have construction, maintenance buildings. I don't know if I did that for Chicago or Pittsburgh. Oh yeah, I did. All right, so they have that, and I've already got rail lines, passenger lines between Pittsburgh and DC. I don't think I ever did Toledo. Nope, I didn't. So let's put in some train lines. So we've got this express. We're going to go Pittsburgh to Toledo. Make it a passenger mail only. And then Toledo and Pittsburgh. Passenger and mail only. Another one. Toledo to Chicago. Passenger and mail only. And Chicago to Toledo. Passenger and mail only. Now I will set up some freight later once they start making stuff. But at this point I'm going to build up my cities with warehouses. Instead of just bringing in all those trains to each city, I'm gonna build warehouses because I think that's the most efficient way to do so. But I will start doing that on the next. Let's pause our time here by building something. I will do that on the next video. So right now I'm going to stop here. We've got Chicago, Toledo, Pittsburgh all built up, and we're good to go. I'm going to save it, and I will see you on the next video. Have a good night, everyone.